Hello and welcome back to Prompt Circle, where we discuss everything AI. In today's video, we're going to be looking at one of the newest releases from OpenAI, which was announced during the Dev Day a few days ago. GPTs. So what are GPTs? GPTs are essentially specific versions of ChatGPT that can be built to perform specific actions or solve for specific tasks. And I think this is a huge announcement, especially for people who are not technical enough to build their own version of a ChatGPT or their own version of virtual assistants on this channel. I've shown different ways you can build these types of assistants using code, but they have built this no-code application or platform that you can use to build your own very sophisticated virtual agents. The cool thing about this is that you can share the agents with multiple people, and I think Sam Altman mentioned during his Dev Day announcement that they are looking for ways that they're gonna have a marketplace, which means that these types of virtual assistants can then be monetized. This is really exciting for the ecosystem of AI builders who are out there. And the key differentiating factor is going to lie in the use case you choose to build. And now if you go to the OpenAI GPT's announcement page, you would see the different types of applications or virtual assistants that they're building: a tech advisor, a laundry buddy, a creative writing coach, and so on and so forth. And when you actually jump into ChatGPT itself, you would see that there's been a change to ChatGPT. It looks really cool these days. So it's come leaps and bounds from what we knew it to be a year ago. They've really done an awesome job, the OpenAI team, to really make this application almost the most indispensable app. You cannot do without ChatGPT these days anyways. For me, it's almost like the most important application I use on a daily basis because it helps me with my productivity and stuff like that. So it's great that they have built this capability for you to build on top of ChatGPT, build using the same capabilities that we love about ChatGPT, so you're not worried about building a chat interface or trying to integrate it into an existing chat interface. They take all that worry away from you, and all you really need to do is build your own version of a virtual assistant that you're looking to use either for personal use or you want to, distribute to your community. So here's how GPTs work. You go to the Explore page and you see a bunch of GPTs out here. The vast majority of them would be GPTs that are created by OpenAI themselves, so by ChatGPT. So you see this one that is for generating images, you see for data analysis, you see the ChatGPT Classic, game time. There's so many of them that they have here. One of the ones that was really interesting is this tech support advisor and this coloring book hero, which allows you to actually generate images and stuff like that. So this is pretty cool. You see all the really cool GPTs that they release, and to use any of them, just like you're going to use your regular ChatGPT, you can just go in there and basically go into it, and a GPT can have access to image generation, it can have access to documents. This one is purely really about creating coloring book pages as an example. So we can just go in here and say something like, create a coloring book for a 3-year-old to serve as a teaching book for the solar system. All right, let's try this one. So now it's just going to go in, it's going to create the image. So basically create the image, it's going to make it available. You can print it out and then have it available to your whoever is going to be consuming it. So basically it's going to go ahead and do that. So how about a scene with the sun at the center, surrounded by simplified versions of the planet in the orbit, each with a happy face. The planets won't be to scale, but they'll be distinguishable by basic features like rings of Saturn and things like that. Does that sound good? And I say yes. So now it's clarifying my question. So this particular GPT has been built to ask clarifying questions when you give it a prompt. So when I say yes, and this is what I'm looking for, then it's going to use DALLE to create an image for this specific coloring book that I have requested for. So this is really powerful, and as you kind of imagine what it's doing right now, you can imagine that there are things that you can do yourself as well to build different types of agents that can do like really, really interesting things. So let's see here what it's building. So it's going through DALLE, it's creating an image, and we can see the image right here. So a coloring book, like we said, we wanted a book that is going to teach a 3-year-old about the solar system, and you can see right here, you can just basically download this image, print it out, and that becomes a coloring book for your 3-year-old. So this is pretty cool, and you can see so many different GPTs. So when you get the time, go explore them. Some of them are pretty cool. But in today's video, what we're really caring about is how to build our own GPTs. So I've already taken a stab at this, and I'm going to show you some really important things. So I'm just going to hit the edit button. Now, by the way, to create a ChatGPT, this is what it typically looks like. You have a create button, which you can use to create directly using the messaging here, or you can go ahead and do the configuration yourself. Now I'll walk through what I have done already, and we'll go through it very quickly so you can see exactly how you can do this. But let's just say that you want to create something from scratch. So in my case, I just simply type that I want to create a virtual assistant that would support let's say Salesforce administrator who may not have a ton of developer or development experience. I would like to provide concise and descriptive explanations of concepts of core concepts, including real-world examples. I would also like for the assistant to help with tasks like providing a step-by-step guide to configure specific Salesforce items, a step-by-step guide to configure Salesforce. As an example, creating objects, custom fields, what else would a Salesforce administrator do? Create flows or processes, create formula, validation rules, and reports. The assistant should also have the ability to suggest SOQL and SOSL queries along with Apex snippets that can be easily run by the administrator. Assistant would need to use the Salesforce documentation provided in the knowledge base, along with search capabilities to find online answers to problems. All right, so let's stop it here and just see what it does. So when you message the ChatGPT builder, which is another agent in itself that is designed to build GPTs, so you can see how layering all these capabilities and bringing them all together is really special. And you can see right here, the GPT builder is actually updating my GPT to be a GPT that can perform these specific actions. Now you can see it's going ahead and doing the update. Once the update is completed, it's going to inform you that the update is completed, and you can get a sense of exactly, what the GPT is all about. So let's wait and see what it says. So this takes a few seconds because it's basically configuring your entire GPT. Okay, so the behavior has been updated. Now our GPT is ready to go. So it says the Salesforce Administrator Assistant has been updated to better serve Salesforce administrators, especially with those with limited development experience. The virtual assistant is now tailored to provide clear, easy to understand explanations of Salesforce core concepts. So it's basically repeating what I had mentioned, and then you can always sort of adjust the GPT as you go along directly from here. Now, if you want more granular, representation, you can basically go inside the instructions and add your own specific instructions. So I've added one here, which you can see right here. I can share it in the description as well. So just explaining very, very similar to the things I had explained. Now, the other thing that you would see here under configuration is the conversation starters. So these are, sort of these boxes you see typically in ChatGPT, which gives your user a hint of what type of questions that they can ask. Now, these were generated for me automatically based on the instruction and based on what my assistant is supposed to do, but you can also add new ones as well. So I can write something like create a custom report type for custom object, right? So basically this is explaining some of the things that you can do within your own GPT. So once you put that there, then it becomes part of your GPT, and it's just part of the things that you can do. And you can remove any one that you don't want and add the ones that you want. Now, the cool things about GPTs is that they have retrieval augmented generation built in. So basically, you can just go ahead and upload all the relevant documents that are relevant to the task. So in my case, I have gone to the Salesforce guides. I went to the Salesforce documentation, and when you go to the developer documentation, for instance, you would see several documents that are out there. So for instance, if you want your assistants to be able to suggest Apex queries and things like that, all you really need to do is go ahead, hit on PDF, it downloads the guide, and I just basically uploaded these multiple guides inside the knowledge. Now, in terms of capabilities, I've given it a web browsing capability, which means it can go browse the web. I think this is based on Bing because of the relationship OpenAI has with Microsoft. They're using Bing primarily as the searching tool for their application. It also has the ability to do a DALLE image generation. So this may not be apt right now, but there might be scenarios where it makes sense. Maybe you want to generate a logo or something like that. And then it has a code interpreter, and what the code interpreter does is that it basically allows you to do some kind of code, run some code in Python right inside your assistant. Now, the other one that it has, and I'm going to make a video talking about actions. We're going to make a second video talking about actions specifically, where we will go in and update the actions. Actions are basically APIs that you can add that can go do something. So one of the ideas I have is, can we actually get the assistant to do the admin job itself? So it's not only a co-pilot that tells you what to do in our case, it's also a co-pilot that actually has the ability to go do the work. So stay tuned for that one. I think I'm going to be making that video next. One of the cool things they've added is the fact you can add authentication. So if your API key requires authentication, you can basically add it right here, and you can add a privacy policy as well. Now, once you're done with all of that, you can either save right here. So in my case, because I already created something, I can have it, saved. But for now, let's actually test it out first. So let's use, can you provide an example of a SQL query to me? So let's see this example here. Can you provide an example of a SQL query to find contacts without an email? So this basically goes in and tells you exactly how you can find something like this. Now, if you're someone who's not necessarily a developer, but you're a Salesforce administrator as an example, and maybe you don't know how to run these tasks, they're really easy, because it just generates the query that you need to run, and you'll be able to run that query accordingly. So I can ask various questions. I can ask, maybe following this one, I can say something like, what is the best way to get all the accounts and their associated contacts? So that could be a query that you're trying to run, and it can actually go help you run that query. So now it's going to give you different ways of doing it. So in this case, it's saying that you can do it via SQL. So it's just going to go ahead and show you exactly what query you need to run. You need to select ID. You need to, run like this query as it has indicated. So this can be really powerful for people who are administrators. You might be a new administrator, or even a seasoned administrator who doesn't want to spend way too much time sifting through documentation. Because this has access to documentation, it can help you get the information you need. Let's try another question right here. And before we actually try the question, let's just go ahead and update it. And I'm going to make it public as well. I'm going to confirm this. So now it's available to the public, which means you can share this with your friends. You can share it with people who you want them to use it. I do have a number of people who I know who are Salesforce admins who I'm going to share it with so that they can use it whenever they need. So now we can view our GPT. It's published. So it's right here. It's now available for use. So now I can just say something like, I am stuck with understanding the best way to give users additional permissions without changing their profile. So let's say that you have this question, you're trying to solve for it. We all know permission sets kind of work around these types of concepts. So this would be what it's going to do. All right, so it tells me I need to use permission sets, and it tells me why, and it explains what a permission set is. And in the moment, if I needed to add, specific permissions to a user, I can easily do that, because it tells me exactly, why, what the advantages of using a permission set is, and probably might even tell me exactly how I can go about creating a permission set as well. So this can be really powerful for different things. So think about places, to things that your everyday tasks, things that you do, things that you find that are really difficult. For me, for instance, there are a lot of development and documentation that I, typically need to read word for word. I enjoy reading developer documentation, by the way, and reading API documentations and things like that, because I can then understand it and then explain them in videos and stuff like that. But I think there are many times after I do that first reading where I just want to maybe pick out something specific without necessarily going and reading the entire thing, and this really makes it easy. So as you can see, it's actually returned everything we need to know about permission sets, what permission sets are, the advantages of using permission sets, the steps to use permission sets, and then talks about best practices that you need to follow. So this would make your Salesforce admin. I think as an organization, you probably just need to create this and make it available to your Salesforce admin if you're running it in Salesforce. And this can be the same for any other work of life. I'm using Salesforce because I'm familiar with it, but it could be any other thing. I hope you learned a lot from how to build your own GPT and some of the things that you can do to do it, and sort of how to craft your prompt, how to feed it with knowledge, all of that stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what GPTs you build and how they go for you. This is a really monumental thing. I cannot contain my excitement because it really democratizes the ability to have these virtual assistants built by anyone. And that is something that, on this channel, I've been trying to teach how to build these virtual assistants using code, using Python. But even if you don't know how to write Python code at all, you can create these assistants that would work magic for you. In the next video, I'm going to show you how we can take this Salesforce Administrator Assistant even further and make it actually perform tasks for us on behalf of us, which would be pretty interesting. Stay tuned and have a great one.